What's up, B Squad? It is your boy JB, and we are here today with another brand new episode live of Rated to Love, you guys. So this is going to be season number what season is this, y'all? Season 8, episode 6, and this episode was titled Dates and Doubts. I believe that's what this episode was titled. If you guys are watching this live or any other video on the channel and you guys aren't subscribed to the channel yet, then you guys please do me a big, huge favor and stop taking me out on this date and having me pay for it at the end of it. You guys know the routine. Do me that favor by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and also by turning on your post notifications, you guys. And with that out of the way, without further ado, let's just go ahead and get into this episode of Rated to Love. Shout, you guys. So, if you guys are joining me, I want you guys to tell me in the live chats or in the comment section below, what do you guys think about this episode? What do you guys think about the season thus far? For me, I will say with the season, it's not really giving me what I expected. What's up, Kevin? How you doing today on this good Saturday morning? But yeah, you guys love. I mean, Rated to Love. I'm just not getting what I particularly want from this season. I don't see any connections with with these people. But again, like I said, you guys, please feel free to chime in the live and in the comment section, and we'll discuss it. But this episode opens up, and we're at the ladies' lounge once again, and the ladies, you guys know that this is the week for the ladies to send one of these guys home. So Tommy is telling the ladies to go out on dates with these men. And he actually asked them, like, with the men, what do they think about the men? Do they feel like the men are basically applying pressure, coming up to them, pursuing them? And the ladies are saying that some of them are, but some of them aren't. And I'm like, unless there's a lot of stuff that we are not seeing behind the scenes, where with them having phone conversations with each other, then other than that, I'm just not really seeing too many of these men put forth the effort with these women. When we get to the episodes, we mostly see the women putting forth the effort with the men. But those are my opinions, and I definitely want to hear you guys' opinions in the live chat and in the comment section below. But yeah, that's just where I'm at. That's my personal opinions. I want you guys' 2 cents. So the first date we get is with Aries and with what's his name? Phil, right? So they showed up together to their date. They were both matching each other. They had matching colors on, and they both had on black. And you guys know I've said it plenty of times before that when it comes down to Aries, I absolutely love Aries. I think Aries is a beautiful woman, and I wish nothing but the best for Aries. So this goes into what I've been saying about Ready to Love. The issue that I have, a big issue that I have with Ready to Love, is these people communicate with each other, and there's nothing wrong with communicating off the camera, but when they build these connections and then they come to the show, we don't see these connections. So we're left trying to connect dots and be like, well, when did this happen? When did that happen? Well, how did they get so close to each other? Because we ain't saw them interact with each other on the show. They ain't went on no group dates. They ain't went on no solo dates. But here we are in this episode. They connected with each other, right? But they have a connection via the phone calls and text messages and probably FaceTime. And I'm like, that's a disservice to us. And I know I know some seasons ago, Ready to Love used to put the dates that we didn't see on the episode on the YouTube channel, and that's also a disservice. Like, if y'all want us to follow this process and follow these people's quote unquote love stories, you got to show us everything. And that is why I always say, with Ready to Love would be better if they did a situation like the Big Brother house. Put these people in the house, for X, however long it takes them to get through this process. Put them in the house. Let's see them interact with each other. I mean, y'all could, this is actually something that would be really good. I mean, do what Big Brother literally does: give a 24-hour feed to these people, so that way we can see them interact with each other. We can see who goes into what room with who. We can see certain things. We don't have to see everything, but I mean, there are things we could see. So remember, this episode is all about bringing up and discussing their doubts, right? So Aries is talking to Phil about the fact that she has two sons, right? So for her, her doubts are bringing a man into her life and bringing them around her kids. And I absolutely understand. I don't have kids, but I can understand that that would be a big thing for you to have children and want the best for your children, and then you want to vet people who you date and make sure that when they meet your kids, they are there to add to their lives and not hurt them, harm them, or do anything to them, right? So he's fine with that because he has a child, right? So he was like he wants more kids, but if the two kids happen to not be his, then he's all for that as well. I'm like, okay, I rock with Phil. I think Phil is a good guy. So then she also asked him, so I've been divorced twice, and she asked him, was that an issue for him? And he said, no, it's not an issue. And I agree. I'll agree with him about that. Right? Being divorced twice is not a big issue. You just have to ask the follow up questions like, what was the reasoning for the divorces, right? Or you can ask the question of, have you done any work on yourself since the divorce, and things of that nature. It's not a red flag. It's not a problem. It's just, what was the cause of the relationship? Was it something that you did, or was it something that your spouse did, or what could have been done to make the relationship work? Have you gone through everything and worked on, and actually, even with the divorce, have you worked on yourself? Even if you weren't the sole cause for the divorce, have you worked on yourself, so to speak, right? But he also says that he's divorced, right? So they get along just fine with that, right? So then the date ends, and like I said, I think that date was an overall good date. So they end that date, and then they seal they end the date with a kiss. And I was like, oh, okay. I wasn't really expecting the kiss, but I'm like, cool. Like I said, with these two, and then like I tweeted last night. If you guys follow me on Twitter, I tweeted last night about this particular situation. Where do these people, are they told not to see each other unless they're filming for the show? Because it just gives very much confusion, and I always wondered that, especially when she said, I don't know when I'm gonna see you again. It's like, huh? You don't know. Now, I know people that the producers do set up the dates, but other than that, it's just, I don't get it. Like, do producers tell them literally not to see each other outside of filming? Got a lot of questions about that one. Hey, Brandy, you said this was the only good date. It was, because the next date is Sierra and Chris 2.0. And this date right here, I got so many things to say about this date, right? So Sierra shows up to the date, and Chris 2.0 is there. So he asks her, like, how's the process been for her? And she tells him she's trying to go deeper to make sure she's not missing anything. But I do have to say something about her saying she's going deeper, right? She asks him if he has any insecurities. And he tells her, no, he doesn't have any insecurities, right? And she was like, she never heard a person say that they don't have any insecurities. And like I just said in my pre-recorded video, I mean, not everybody is insecure about things. Not everybody has insecurities. People might have things that they might not necessarily like about themselves, but but it's not necessarily like an insecurity issue. So yeah, not everybody is insecure. I just want to point that out, right? So she asked him his dating style. She asked him what his dating style was. Now I don't know if he said what his dating style was, because then she mentioned Birkins and Chanel bags, right? And there is nothing wrong with a woman who knows what she likes, right? You like Birkins, you like Chanel's, right? But here's the thing. Go back to what I just said. This is her first date with Chris. For a first date, I don't think that that's something that you should necessarily bring up to anybody, be it man or woman. You don't go to the first date and just talk about, oh, I like Birkins. Oh, I like this. Oh, I like that. A first date is literally, you're supposed to be getting to know the person. Now, what I will say when it comes to Chris 2.0, I have to say that with Chris 2.0, and I agree with Sierra, is his answers. When you listen to his answers do seem a little bit on the rehearsed side. So I have to agree with her in that respect. But going back to what I just said, this is the first date. So you ask questions to get to know the man and see if there's something there that you guys can build on. And then maybe about a second or third date, then you start asking about, you know, Birkin bags and all that kind of stuff, right? So he said to her, well, what if I'm down on my, what if I'm down and I can't really buy the bag for you? She said, oh, I think she was about to say she's a very resourceful person. So if she wants it, then she knows. Well, she said if she wants it, she knows how to get it. And what she means is that she'll go out and buy the bag herself, right? But he said, also, you'll go out and find somebody else. And she said, no, I'll buy it myself. But then he said to her, so if I can't buy the bag for you, then will you look at me differently or would you leave our relationship? She didn't necessarily answer that question. She just answered by saying that she would get the bag herself. But she didn't answer the question of would she look at him differently and would she leave? She didn't answer that question, and I want to point that out. So in her interview with the producers, she called that an insecurity of his. And you guys let me know, do you guys believe that that was an insecurity? The fact that he's saying that if he can't buy it, all that stuff. Do you guys think that he was being insecure in that situation? Because I don't think that was an insecurity of his. It could be, right? I guess you could say it could be a monetary insecurity. But let me know you guys' thoughts and opinions about that. But I thought that was very odd for a first date with this man to just bring up, and I will say this, unless editing play came into play and they cut out a big chunk of the conversation and just left that part in there to make it more salacious, then it came out of nowhere, to be honest with you. So the next date we got is Katarina. So she's meeting up with Marvin, right? So Katarina is wondering with Marvin if he can be monogamous to one woman, and because she's heard some things, and I'm pretty sure it's the things about his proclivities, right? His proclivities and his fetishes. And I do want to address that because I addressed it in my video, but I want to address it here, right? You guys, just because a person has a fetish, it doesn't mean that they can't be in a monogamous relationship. So some people have foot fetishes. That doesn't mean that that person's gonna go be with other. Just because I have a foot fetish doesn't mean I want to be with everybody who has a foot, right? Or men who have fetishes with big women doesn't mean he's going to go out and try to be with other big women. So I want you guys to just think about that. Just because a person has different fetishes, it doesn't mean that they need to be with a harem of women. It just means I'm telling my partner that these things, turn me on, and I would like it if you do it, right? But if you don't do it, then we can work around that, right? Now, what I will say in regards to Marvin, I do feel like with Marvin that Marvin does kind of flip and craft his answers and responses to the what he thinks the women may want to hear. And it's not just Marvin that I feel like that with. I feel like that with quite a few of these men, that they just basically change their responses to match what they think that the women would like to hear, right? So, he also told her, and in this scene, that he was getting ready for Comic-Con. I promise you guys, I didn't hear. So the first time I watched this, all I heard was him creating a white Power Ranger suit, and I was like, wait a hot damn minute. I know we're not gonna try to sex up the Power Rangers. Like, no. That is my favorite show of all time. And I was just like, absolutely not, Mr. Marvin. But no, he said he was doing Comic-Con, so I'll let him have that, right? So she then also asked him if he can be monogamous, and he said yes, he can be. And honestly, once again, you guys, I do believe that the man can be monogamous. Just because he has these different, fetishes, he never said that he's never once, from what I've heard, said that he's polyamorous. You guys do know what polyamorous means, right? Polyamorous means he wants to be with more than one person. So he's never at any point in this show said he's a polyamorous person. He just says he has different fetishes, and they all sound like they're with one person. So unless he again, unless he says something behind the scenes that we don't know about, I'm gonna err on the safe. I'm gonna err on the side of he just likes what he likes, and he's never said that he wants to be with multiple women. He's never said anything about threesomes. He's never said any of that stuff. So I don't know where they're getting this from. It's kind of like they're making assumptions about this man based off of their narrow thinking. Because I mean, come on, you guys, did a lot of y'all not watch 50 Shades of Grey? I didn't, because I think that that is the most driest. That book was dry. So if the book was dry, I could imagine that the movie was dry, right? But from what I know about 50 Shades of Grey, they were only with one person, right? It was just Anastasia and whatever that man's name that she was with, and they were just doing things together. Now I don't know if they invited anybody in, but again, you can have different kinks and fetishes and only wanted to do that with one person only. Just leaving it at that. So the next date we got is with Kira. So Kira invited Herbert over to her home, right? So I want to point, I think I said this in the beginning of the live, but I'm gonna point it out one more time. The more that I watch Ready to Love this season, we're on episode 6. Tommy told the ladies that they're at the halfway point, right? We're at the halfway point, but I don't see anybody that has a genuine connection in this cast. If you guys see any connections, please tell me who you guys think are connected. I want to know it, because I just don't see anybody having a true connection. Even the one couple, even the one group, two people that I think can have connection, I still question the connection because of a comment that was made last week, and I'm actually about to bring it. I'll bring it up in just a minute. So with Herbert, Kira is telling Herbert that she would like for him to step up his game because he's very nonchalant. And I'm like, ma'am, please take a look at, just listen to what you just said. You told this man to step it up. If someone is interested in pursuing you, you do not have to tell anybody that likes you and wants to be around you to step it up. If you have to say that to a person, that means that they're just not that into you. And I don't think she's catching the clues. The man is just not that into you, girl. You got to sit here and tell him to step it up. So then she also said to him that he was talking about once again the comment that he made last week with Janelle about the fact that he doesn't date multiple women, and I'm like, sir, did you not know what show you signed up for when you did this? Because that's the name of the game, that you have to date different women. But okay, I mean, I guess if that's what you want to say, go off. But I feel like that's an excuse and a cop out for your lack of communication with these women. Those are my personal opinions, and I definitely want you guys to tell me what you think, right? But Kira asked him, is she in his top? He said, yes, she is. And I'm like, Kira, girl, Allah, I don't care who tell it. You are nowhere near this man's top, bottom, middle, or anything of the sorts, right? So after that, they do a little TikTok dance with each. Well, it's not a TikTok dance, but they did a little dance with each other. And yeah, I could have done without that scene with both of them. To be quite honest with you guys, they were not for me. Still not for me. I still don't see it for Kira, because Kira just is. We'll get into her as we get into her. So the next date is with Quentin and Janelle. So this is the people that I want to talk about. I do see a slight connection with Quentin and Janelle, but what I will say when it comes down to Quentin and Janelle, the thing that I noticed with them is going back to last week's episode when they were in the men's lounge, when he said that he has a connection with Janelle, but with him and Lee, it feels like they're already a couple. So how do you feel like you're already a couple with Lee, but you know Janelle is your top? That don't sound like a top if you already feel like you're in a relationship with another person. But hey, it is what it is, right? I will say when Quentin walked into that date, I didn't recognize him, and I think it might have been because of those glasses he had on, right? So Janelle asked him, "What do you think about the age gap between them?" And he says he doesn't really think about it, right? So she says that for them, for her to be in love and to have kids, to be married and to have kids, they got to be in love like tomorrow. And I was just wondering, like, why are you putting a timeline on it, right? I get that you're a woman of a certain age, right? But I mean, you can still get pregnant in your 40s. It might be a little bit harder, but you can still get pregnant in your 40s. And then they also did mention adoption, right? And so she says, yes, she's all for adoption because she was adopted. Now, if these two are so connected to each other, why didn't Quentin know that she was adopted? And he asked her, are your parents, white, black? She said, my parents are black. But I'm just still stuck on the fact that if y'all are connected with each other, how did he not know that you were adopted? That was something she mentioned in the first episode that I remembered. That is the one thing I remembered about Janelle from the first episode, that she's adopted because hence I'm adopted, right? So I definitely remembered that. So how did he not know that? How did he not know that? I'm just a little, got a little questions, but hey, it's neither here nor there, right? So the next, I don't know if you guys, I don't know if we would call this a date or if it was just, we would just call it a meetup. Kira. Kira set up a meeting between her and Marie. And let's just go ahead and be real with each other. Kira, you're delusional. There is really something wrong with Kira. I don't like Kira. I would be happy if Kira goes home next week because, again, she's just not for me. And I just don't understand her, right? So Kira is offended by the fact that Marie asked her questions about her blackness. And I was like, that's very interesting because if I'm not mistaken, I do remember you when the ladies first had their ladies lounge, that when you talked about the fact that you believe that Quentin only liked white women, you also came out of your mouth and said that you're the closest thing to white. And inquiring minds would love to know what you meant about that you're the closest thing to white. The only thing that is white about you would be the whites of your eyes, the white boots you wear, the if your teeth might be white. Those are the only things that are closer to white. Those are the only things white about you. Other than that, you are 100% a black woman. You have no proximity to whiteness. You can't pass for white. If we were in the days of slavery, you would be a field nigga. You would be out in the field picking cotton. So nothing about you is close to white, my dear. You may have white friends, but they still look at you and see a whole ass black woman. And then on top of that, you're offended by that. But you yourself came out of your mouth last week to ask Quentin if he only dated white women. And like I said earlier in my video, I believe the reason that you asked Quentin if he likes white women is because either one, you figured if he likes white women, and since I throw on this Valley Girl accent, he'll like me. Or number two, you have white friends. Either because you have white friends, you're assuming that okay, well, if I get in a relationship with him, he's going to eventually leave me for one of my white friends, which gives a little bit of insecurity. So yeah, you're a hypocrite and again delusional. How do you fix your mouth to ask Quentin those questions about his dating preferences, but Marie can't ask you about how you identify, right? I mean, you should identify as a black person because you're a black woman. And then you also made the comment last week that I thought was very stupid. I'm not calling her a stupid person. Her comment was stupid. That I have black cousins. No shit, sure. Like I would assume that I would hope and pray that you have black cousins, unless you were adopted by a white family. So that's the only way I would expect you to have different cousins, cousins that are other. Or, and I mean, unless you got switched at birth, but if you got switched at birth and you had some white parents, then your parents might, you might want to talk to your parents and say, hey, I believe I was switched at birth. So yeah, Kira, she's just really not for me. And then she said in this episode, her father is black and she has black brothers. Once again, ma'am, we know that. You are, I mean, we can definitely see that you are black. Black, black, blackity, black, 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 black. Oh my God, can Kira please go home? Like, out, out of the women, Kira is top that needs to go home next week. I feel like next week might be a double elimination for the women as well, since they did a double. I'm getting ahead of myself, but I feel like next week might be a double as well. So the next date, you guys, we see Lee and Marvin on a date with each other. And like I've said plenty of times before about Lee, I do like Lee. I think Lee is a beautiful woman, banging body. But when it comes down to Lee, I just gotta keep it a buck. When I see Lee on this show, honestly, I forget about who she is. And I don't remember Lee until she's on an episode. Because like last week, Lee didn't even go on a date with anybody. So what I will say with Lee and Sierra, I feel like those two might get friend zoned. That just is my personal opinion because either we don't see one or we see one on dates with the men, but they don't mention them in the ladies' lounge. And I want you guys to tell me y'all thoughts and opinions about that. So Lee and Marvin, they're on a date, right? So once again, we're talking about, Marvin's fetishes. I'm like, can we please stop talking about this? Y'all really, instead of sending Red home last week's episode, y'all probably just should have went on ahead and sent whenever y'all send Red home, y'all should have just went on ahead and sent Marvin home, because at this point y'all keep talking about the same things and y'all keep at here's my problem with the ladies, right? I get that the ladies may not be into the things that he is into, but why do y'all keep asking him questions? Y'all keep asking the man questions and the man answers the questions, and when he answers the questions, like I've said before, it's like y'all get turned off to it, and it's just like, well, what was the purpose in answering asking a question? Do you want this man to sit here and lie to you? Because that's really what it's given. So Lee asked him about what his temperament is, right? So he said that his temperament is that of, even chill, even keel, pretty chill, right? And I'm the same way. So he also told her that he does impersonations, and she was like, what's your favorite movie? And he said his favorite movie was Jurassic Park. And she was like, so you impersonate the dinosaurs? He said, no, I don't impersonate the dinosaurs. He said what he does is he impersonates the people. I was like, I could have told you that, Lee, but okay. So honestly, that date between them was just like really very awkward to me. And I don't know why we even had this date. Again, like I said, I think the ladies should have already done sent Marvin home, because nobody has a connection with Marvin, if we're being honest with each other. Like none of these women have a connection with him. So after that, we then go to the ladies. Oh, actually, guys, I skipped a date. I skipped a date. Jessica and Chris. I forgot to mention Jessica and Chris. So Jessica, she pulled up on Chris, right? And so Jessica's whole thing with Chris is the fact Chris 1.0. So Jessica's thing with Chris is that she doesn't feel that he is being consistent with communicating with her, right? And here's the thing, like she said in this scene, people make time for the things they want to make time for. And if he's not making time for you, then like I said about Kira when it came to Herbert, you got to think that maybe he's just not that into you. And it's okay that he might not be into you. You can say, okay, I don't think that he's interested in me. Let me go focus my attentions on someone else. But the biggest one of the other issues that I have with Ready to Love is Ready to Love is nothing but a numbers game. I've noticed that over the last few years that it's nothing but a numbers game. I don't think that I've saw any like real true connections with people since the second Houston season that I first started reviewing. I haven't saw any real connections since then. And even some of those connections, I was like, and I don't think that they're 100% real, but some of them were, right. But since then, I just don't think that these people are intentional about, looking for a connection. I think some of these people just come on here just to be on the show, right? So she also told him that, she told him she do see moments of pause with Chris. And then Chris tells her that, he finds a strong woman attractive, but with her, he wants her to be softer and less assertive with her tone. And so they both did admit that, they can be a little bit more consistent with the communication, because she says he says, you don't reach out to me either. And she says, well, I text you, but no response back. So they both say they can work on the communication, right? So then we get over to the ladies' lounge. So in the ladies' lounge, the ladies are telling Tommy about their dates. So I know Aries told Tommy about her date with Phil. I know that Janelle told Tommy about her date with Quentin. And who else went? I think that was it. And so also Miss Kira wanted to bring up her date with Marie and then pretended as if she forgot the man's name. I'm like, girl, you did not forget this man's name. Like, Kira, stop playing games. So, yeah, I was just over her, right? So, what I will say is Janelle wasn't 100% wrong, but Janelle is her. Janelle is very harsh with her like when she comes at people like a 21-year-old. Like when she was coming at Kira, it is almost like she wanted to fight the girl. And I'm like, ma'am, it ain't that deep. Is she being funny? Absolutely. Pretend like she don't remember this man's name. She's 100% being funny, right? And I like the fact that Janelle called her out, saying that you said that you were closer to whiteness, and that you talked about the fact that you think Quentin dates white women. I was okay with that. And Kira was talking about the fact that she and Jessica were rolling their eyes at her. I don't care if they were, because you're a joke at this point, to me personally. Those are my opinions, right? So, but she's still in her feelings about it. And I'm like, I don't understand how you're in your feelings, but go off, right? So Tommy told the ladies that two of the men will be leaving this week. So it's a double elimination. I also will say that when Jessica impersonated Marvin, it was hilarious, you guys, to me. So, one other thing I want to point out before I go ahead and wrap up. So Jessica did tell them with Marvin, and I just want, like I said, I just want these ladies to say that's not something that they're into. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. So Jessica said that Marvin told her he's a stag. So if you guys don't know what a stag is, and I found this on Twitter, and it's very interesting. Most times I see it's a married couple, right? And they're in, the guy is into his wife being with other men or even women, but I mostly see it with her being with other men, and the husband is in the room watching. And I don't judge when anybody likes or does. That's not who I am. I'm not judging that. That ain't got nothing to do with me. If y'all like it, I love it. Like, if you're not, as long as you're not hurting anybody, that's fine. Brandy says Kira was wrong, but Janelle takes things too far. She does. She really does. That's the problem that I have with Janelle. I was with Janelle, but then I was like, God, Janelle, you go really far, and it's just not that deep. It really ain't. So Tommy sent the ladies out to, tell them, break it to the men who's still in the process and who's not, right? So the eliminates are between Kira, and Kira's on a date with Chris 2.0. Um Lee went out on a date with Marie, and Katarina with Marvin, right? So ultimately Marvin is not rated to love, and who else is not rated? Chris 2.0. As you guys can see on the screen, this is Chris 2.0. Chris 2.0 was not that happy to be sent home, right? Now, what I will say about Chris 2.0 is I started to see through him in this episode. I could see that he was kind of putting on for the ladies, so he wasn't too happy, right? He was like, and one girl asked me about a Birkin, and here she is taking an Uber to get to the date. I was like, well, sir, I mean, this is Dallas, and y'all know that the traffic is terrible here in Dallas. So I ain't too upset about her taking an Uber to the date. But I mean, if you feel that way, sir, that's how you feel. But that's the episode, you guys. Like I said, Ready to Love. I was expecting more from Dallas. Maybe the second season of Dallas will give, but this first one, I'm ready for it to wrap up. But yeah, you guys, that's it. I got to get off of here and go and get a manicure today. Be sure to like the video, you guys. Subscribe to the channel, turn your post notifications, and share the video, you guys. And until the next time, I will catch you guys I will catch you guys later. So I got another live later today for Love After Lockup, and then I'm going to be doing hot topics later today, and that'll be up sometime today. And then I got to watch Bell Collective, and have that up for you guys at some point. So yeah, I got a lot to do today. But as of right now, he got to get out of here for his manicure. And I will see you guys later. But let me get this last comment. Brandy says he irritated me talking about he did fashion week. I really was irritated with it. Sounded like he was. Now I will say before I get out of here, it did sound like he was running down a resume. I went to medical school for this amount of time. I was like, sir, are you a doctor? If not, put it on mute. But yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Drop down in the leave me comments, and I'll definitely get back to you guys in the comments. But I'll catch you guys later. Bye.